John Steinbeck was an American writer that is remembered as somewhat of a dreamer and an idealist in his beliefs about society. He cared most about helping the poor and fixing the systems that make them poor in America. He is known mostly for three of his main works: The Grapes of Wrath, East of Eden, and the short story of Mice and Men. In these books specifically, and in nearly all of his books, he examines social and class issues and immerses the reader in the reality of poverty. It was his hope that he would raise awareness about these issues and start a conversation. This digital story will take us on a journey that explores the life and beliefs of this man who dedicated his life work to the cause of exposing broken systems and eradicating classism. Steinbeck was born on February 27, 1902, in Salinas, California, which would become the setting for many of his stories and is a strong focus of a lot of his work. He grew up working on ranches and with migrant workers in what is still considered some of the world's most fertile land. Through these experiences, he became aware of the harsher aspects of migrant life and the darker side of human nature. Although Steinbeck published 4 short works between 1929 and 1933, his first critical success came with the novel Tortilla Flat. Published in 1935, it explores the lives of struggling young men in Monterey after World War I. In 1942, Tortilla Flat was adapted into a film. This was Steinbeck's first real taste of commercial success. During this time, Steinbeck had also been writing a series of California novels and Dust Bowl fiction that explored the themes of migrant workers and the Great Depression. These included Of Mice and Men and The Grapes of Wrath, both of which were later adapted to film. The Grapes of Wrath was the best-selling book of 1939, with 430,000 copies printed by February of 1940. It won the National Book Award and the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction, but it was also a very controversial novel. Because it exposed Steinbeck's harsh political views, which included a negative portrayal of capitalism and his sympathy for the plight of migrant workers, it led to a backlash against him, especially close to home with the bankers and big landowners in California. The book was banned in the county public schools and libraries from August 1939 through January 1941, and burned on 2 separate occasions in Salinas. In 1947, Steinbeck published Cannery Row during a bout of homesickness for his Monterey life of the 30s. The book became so famous that Ocean Avenue in Monterey was renamed Cannery Row in 1958. In 1952, Steinbeck's novel East of Eden was published, which was also adapted to film and starred James Dean. In 1960, Steinbeck went on a road trip with his poodle Charlie across the entire country and wrote Travels with Charlie while on this trip. He continued to explore themes of poverty and classism in these previous 3 books. In 1962, Steinbeck won the Nobel Prize for Literature for his realistic and imaginative writing, combining as it does sympathetic humor and keen social perception. The selection was heavily criticized, however, and described as one of the Academy's biggest mistakes in one Swedish newspaper. The reaction of American literary critics was also harsh, and Steinbeck himself, when asked on the day of the announcement if he deserved the Nobel, replied, "Frankly, no." We will now hear an excerpt from his acceptance speech.
I thank the Swedish Academy for finding my work worthy of this highest honor. In my heart, there may be some doubt that I deserve the Nobel Award over other men of letters whom I hold in respect and reverence. But there is no question of my pleasure and pride in having it for myself. It is customary for the recipient of this award to offer personal or scholarly comment on the nature and the direction of literature. At this particular time, however, I think it would be well to consider the high duties and the responsibilities of the makers of literature. Such is the prestige of the Nobel Award and of this place where I stand, that I am impelled not to squeak like a grateful and apologetic mouse, but to roar like a lion out of pride in my profession.
Taken aback by the critical outcry when he was awarded the Nobel Prize, Steinbeck published no more fiction in the next 6 years before his death. On December 20th, 1968, John Steinbeck died of heart disease and congestive heart failure. The legacy of Steinbeck, and the reason that his work is highly valued and read again and again, is the way he beautifully struggled throughout his life and career, but never gave up his beliefs or his enduring concern and fight for the oppressed and the poor.